Hey, everybody, and welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're going to get into something that I think a lot of people have thought about at one time or another, and that is, what did Osho think about God and prayer?
Yeah.
We've got some interesting sources here, and this is going to be
Hmm?
really interesting.
Yep, this is not your typical Sunday school stuff. This is going to be pretty out there.
Yeah, it is. Now, to start off, Osho was very famous for saying that God is the biggest lie ever told.
Right.
So that's a pretty big statement, and I think,
I-
it's going to make people think.
Yeah. I think it will either resonate with you or you're going to completely reject it. There's not going to be a whole lot of middle ground, I don't think.
Yeah, so why would he say that? I mean, what was his reasoning behind that?
Well, he had this really unique perspective where he kind of looked at things and he saw right through a lot of traditional thinking. And he pointed out that our ideas of God are really just reflections of our own culture. Like if you look at Chinese gods, they look Chinese. And if you look at African gods, they look African. So it's almost like we're just projecting our own image onto the cosmos.
Yeah, it's like, my God's better than your God.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just a competition.
Yeah, it's all relative.
It's all relative. It's like, people arguing over iPhone versus Android or something.
Exactly. And Osho, he saw that relativity and it made him question whether or not we created this whole God thing out of a need for security.
Yeah.
The universe is a vast place and it can be pretty chaotic. Maybe we can't handle the thought of being alone in all of it, so we invent God.
It's like that Wi-Fi signal that you're looking for when you're out in the jungle.
Right.
You just really want it, but it's not there.
Yeah, you want that connection.
Yeah. But now, hold on. You said that he rejected the idea of God as like a person, not necessarily the divine, right?
Right.
He uses this word godliness a lot. What's the difference there?
That's where it gets really interesting. So Osho wasn't saying that there's nothing beyond our everyday experience. It's just that we're looking for it in the wrong place and with the wrong mindset. Imagine you're watching a sunrise and you feel this incredible sense of connection to something much bigger than yourself. That feeling of awe, that feeling of transcendence, that's what he meant by godliness.
So it's like instead of, praying to a customer service agent in the sky, it's more like realizing you're at the best spa in the world and you just need to relax and enjoy it.
I love that analogy. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, godliness is not something that you search for and find. It's something that you realize you've been immersed in all along.
Wow. So how do we tune into that?
Well, it's not about worshiping a deity. It's about recognizing that spark of the divine within yourself and all around you. It's about awareness.
So this kind of flips the script on the whole prayer thing too, doesn't it?
Totally.
Because if there's no God up there, keeping a list, what's the point of begging for things?
Right. It's not about sending a wish list to the universe.
Yeah, I spent years praying for good grades.
I think a lot of us did that.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
Maybe it did in some way, but not in the way that we thought.
So what is prayer then if it's not this, begging for stuff? What is it?
Well, Osho saw it as a shift in perspective. It's not about pleading to someone. It's about being prayerful.
Mhm.
It's about cultivating a state of being, presence, gratitude, celebrating life in all its messy glory.
So less about please universe, make my crush like me back, and more about, wow, this sunset is awesome. I'm breathing. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's about shifting that perspective from asking to being.
So how do you do that? How do you cultivate that state of being?
Now think about it this way. Imagine you want to express love to someone. You wouldn't just sit in a corner and chant love me, over and over again. You would show them love through your actions, right? So it's the same with godliness. It's expressed through how we live, how we relate to the world. That feeling of reverence for existence itself, that's the essence of prayer, according to Osho.
That's pretty powerful.
It is?
Okay, so we're starting to see how he kind of flips the script on these ideas of God and prayer. But what about actually tuning into this godliness that's supposedly all around us? It can't be as simple as, ordering takeout, can it?
Right. If it were that easy, we'd all be enlightened already, wouldn't we?
I guess so.
But Osho did talk a lot about meditation as a way to connect with that deeper reality.
Now I've tried meditation, and my mind is like a squirrel on espresso. Like it just bounces around constantly.
Well, that's a very common experience. Osho actually said that the point of meditation isn't to empty your mind completely. That's like trying to stop the waves from crashing on the shore. Good luck with that.
Good luck.
Right. It's more about becoming the observer, watching those thoughts come and go without getting swept away by them.
So instead of silencing the internal chatter, it's more like being the chill bouncer at the club of your mind.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
You're letting those thoughts in, but you're not letting them cause any trouble.
Right.
You're learning to detach from the drama, to see those thoughts as temporary visitors, not the dictators of your inner world.
Yeah.
Osho called this the art of watching, and this is where the connection to prayer comes. In meditation, in this sense, becomes a form of prayer itself.
Okay, so instead of reciting, prayers that I memorized, I'm just supposed to sit there and watch my thoughts.
That's right.
That doesn't sound very spiritual. I mean, where's the chanting and the incense and the dramatic lighting?
Well, those things can have their place.
Yeah.
But Osho is all about stripping away the dogma and finding what truly connects you to the divine. For some people, it might be dancing or music, being out in nature. He wasn't attached to any particular form. It's the inner shift that matters.
So it's like choosing your own adventure, spiritual edition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about breaking free from those rigid structures and finding your own authentic path.
That's pretty empowering.
It is.
But let's say I'm meditating and I'm feeling all connected to the universe. What's the end game here? Is there like a spiritual finish line where I get a prize?
That would make things a lot easier.
Yeah.
But Osho saw enlightenment not as a destination, but as a state of being, a realization of your true nature.
Yeah.
It's about waking up from this illusion of separation. Realizing that you're not fundamentally different from the divine, from the universe, from everything around you.
So we're all like ingredients in this big cosmic soup.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and instead of seeing ourselves as these separate little peas, we start to realize we're all part of the same delicious broth.
We are all connected.
Exactly. And when you start to live from that place of unity, it brings a profound sense of peace, joy, and, yes, love.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together, but how do we get there? Is it just about meditating a lot?
Meditation is definitely a powerful tool, but it's not just about the time you spend on the cushion. Osho emphasized living consciously, bringing that awareness into every aspect of your life.
So being mindful when I'm doing everyday things like grocery shopping or doing laundry,
Exactly.
finding that spark of godliness even in the mundane.
That's it. It's about approaching everything with presence, gratitude, and yes, even love, seeing the divine in the everyday, the sacred in the mundane.
Wow, this is really shifting my perspective.
Yeah.
It's less about, following rules and more about cultivating a way of being, a way of seeing the world.
That's exactly it.
But hold on, before we go full-on enlightened beings,
Mhm.
there's one thing we haven't really talked about, and that's love.
Ah, yes, love.
And I have a feeling Osho had some pretty unique ideas about that too.
Oh, he did. He had a lot to say about love.
So let's dive into that next time.
Sounds good. So we're starting to see how Osho kind of turns our typical ideas of God and prayer upside down. But the question is, how do we actually tune into this godliness if it's all around us?
Yeah, I mean, if it were that easy, we'd all be enlightened already, right?
Right, exactly. But
Yeah.
Osho did talk a lot about meditation as a way to connect with that, deeper reality.
Okay, now full disclosure, I have tried meditating, and my mind is like a squirrel that's had like 5 espressos. Yeah, it's just bouncing all over the place.
That's so common. A lot of people experience that. And Osho actually said that the point of meditation isn't to completely empty your mind. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's like trying to stop waves from crashing on the shore. It's just not going to happen. It's more about becoming the observer.
Yeah.
Or just watching those thoughts come and go without getting swept away by them.
So less about silencing the chatter and more about just being the chill bouncer at the nightclub of your mind.
I love that analogy. That's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah, you're letting those thoughts in, but you're not letting them cause any trouble.
Right.
You're learning to detach from all the drama and see those thoughts as temporary visitors, not the dictators of your inner world,
Yeah.
Osho called this the art of watching, and this is where the connection to prayer comes in. In this sense, meditation becomes a form of prayer.
Wait, so instead of, reciting prayers,
Mm.
I'm just supposed to sit there and watch my thoughts. That doesn't sound very spiritual.
Well, it's not about the outward form,
Yeah.
Where's the chanting, the incense, the dramatic lighting?
Right.
All those things can have their place. But Osho is really all about stripping away that dogma and finding what truly connects you to the divine. For some people, it might be dancing, music, being out in nature. It doesn't really matter. He wasn't attached to any specific form. It's about that inner shift.
So it's about finding what works for you, what helps you tap into that sense of awe and connection.
Exactly. It's like a choose your own adventure, but for your spiritual life.
I like that. That's very empowering. But okay, let's say I'm meditating and I'm feeling all connected to everything. Is there like a finish line? Is there like a spiritual finish line where I get a prize?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
But Osho saw enlightenment not as like a destination, but more like a state of being,
Okay.
like a realization of your true nature. It's about waking up from the illusion of separation, realizing that you're not fundamentally different from the divine, from the universe, from everything around you.
So we're all just ingredients in this giant cosmic soup.
Yeah, I like that analogy a lot.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing ourselves as these separate little peas floating around, we start to realize that we're all part of the same delicious broth.
We are all connected.
We are all connected, and when you start to live from that place of unity, it brings such a profound sense of peace, joy, and yes, love.
Okay, I'm starting to see how it all fits together, but how do we get there? Is it just about meditating a lot?
Well, meditation's a great tool, but it's not just about the time you spend sitting on a cushion.
Hmm.
Osho talked about living consciously, bring that awareness to every aspect of your life.
So being mindful, even when I'm doing really ordinary things like, going to the grocery store, folding laundry,
Exactly.
finding that glimmer of godliness, even in the mundanes.
Yes, it's about approaching and everything with that presence, gratitude, and even love seeing the divine in the everyday, the sacred in the mundane.
Wow, this is really kind of shifting my perspective.
Right.
It's less about following all these rules and more about cultivating a way of being, a way of seeing the world.
That's it.
But hold on, before we go full-on enlightened beings, there's one thing we haven't really talked about, and that is love.
Ah, yes,
And I
love.
have a feeling that Osho had some pretty unique ideas about that too.
Oh, love was very central to his teachings.
Okay, so we're back, and we're going to talk about something pretty big here, and that's love. Now, I have a feeling that Osho's ideas about love are a little bit different than, maybe what we're used to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He wasn't really known for writing Hallmark cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but he did consider love to be like a really important part of his teachings, like the essence of the divine.
Yeah, absolutely. He believed the whole universe is a manifestation of love.
Whoa, hold on now. Isn't that kind of a stretch? I mean, the universe can be a pretty harsh place. Where's the love in a black hole?
Right. Well, he would say that even those seemingly destructive forces are a part of this, bigger cosmic dance, a constant interplay of creation and destruction. He wasn't talking about love in this like sentimental, romanticized way. He saw it as a really powerful force, the energy that binds everything together.
So what did he actually mean by love? Because, most people, when they think of love, they think of, romantic love or family love or that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Right, and he distinguished between those kinds of love, which he called need-based love, and something much deeper, which he called love as a state of being.
Need-based love. That sounds kind of needy.
Yeah, it is. Like, I love you because you make me feel good. You meet my needs.
Right. It's like a transaction.
Exactly. It's conditional. It depends on the other person fulfilling our needs.
And if those needs aren't met, then the love kind of fades away.
Right, and that can lead to a lot of suffering and disappointment and manipulation in relationships.
So what's the alternative then? What is this love as a state of being all about?
Well, imagine like a wellspring of love inside of you that just overflows effortlessly without any conditions or expectations. It's a love that just radiates outwards because it's your natural state, not because you're trying to get something in return.
That sounds really nice, but kind of impossible.
Yeah.
How do you just decide to love unconditionally, especially, in a world that feels very selfish and competitive a lot of the time?
Yeah, and he would say that this kind of love isn't something that you can just like force or manufacture. It arises naturally as you grow spiritually, as you connect more deeply with your own, inner divinity.
So it's like you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. You have to cultivate that love within yourself first before you can truly share it with others.
So how do we do that?
Well, that's where practices like meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection come in. They help us tap into that source of unconditional love that's within us.
So instead of searching for love outside of myself, I need to cultivate it within, and then it can naturally overflow into my relationships with other people and just with the world.
Exactly, and that aligns with Osho's emphasis on individuality and self-love. He believed that true love begins with accepting and embracing yourself, flaws and all.
Wow, this has been such an amazing journey. Osho's ideas about God, prayer, and even love are so radical and so liberating. He really challenges us to question everything we thought we knew and embrace a whole new way of being.
He does. He was really good at shaking things up and making us see the world in a new way.
And for listeners who, want to dive even deeper into Osho's teachings, what would you recommend as a good starting point?
I would recommend his book, The Book of Secrets. It's a great introduction to his approach to meditation and self-discovery.
Awesome. And remember, everyone, this is just a glimpse into the world of Osho. So much more to explore. So keep an open mind. and keep seeking.
And keep loving.
And that's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of Osho's philosophy. Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and keep discovering the divine within and all around you.